Hi, hello, and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we are going to be doing my February reading wrap-up and my March TBR. So in February, I managed to read 4 books. One of them was one I started in January and ended up finishing very early on in the month. And the 3 other ones were ones I started and finished within the month. So let's talk about all of them. Now, the first 2 books I finished reading were Dragon Haven and Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb. These are books 1 and 2 in the Rainwild Chronicles. I really had a good time with these. I think they were just so much fun and so sweet. There were some really cute romantic moments in them, and I absolutely loved having just more of the dragons and the Rainwild. It's something I'd been really wanting more of from the other books, so it's nice to finally have a whole series dedicated to them. If you haven't heard of the Rainwild Chronicles, these are set in the Rainwilds in the realm of the Elderlings world, and we follow a bunch of Rainwilders who have been tasked to go and help these dragons move up through the Rainwilds River and find this lost Elderling city. And it is really interesting and really fun. Like I said, we've got some romances in this, and we've got a lot of conflicts brewing between these keepers and the people that are also accompanying them on their journey. Because the dragon keepers, or the Rainwilders that have been sent on this task, are ones that have been heavily changed by the Rainwilds. They were ones that when they were born, they were supposed to be left in the Rainwilds forest to be killed and taken, but their families kept them. And they are kind of the ones that are too far changed and too different, and they're being sent up, so they're no longer anyone's problem, and also the dragons are no longer anyone's problems. So it's really interesting seeing the dynamic between the characters with that, because they know that if they were to stay where they were, they would really heavily be shunned upon, and a lot of them are really aware of the fact that they were kind of only sent on this task to be rid of. So it's really interesting seeing how that kind of changes and how they're hoping to turn this city that they're looking for into their own home, and I just really love these books so much. The next book I read was a dystopian. This was one of the books that was in my 12 books in 12 months TBR, and that is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Now, I had a really good time with this. I didn't enjoy it and love it as much as I thought I would, but it was still a really solid book. So if you haven't heard of this one, this is a dystopian. We start off setting in the year of 2025, I believe, and everything in America is kind of chaos and all sorts of things. There are walled cities and stuff where people live in to try and protect themselves. There's people that go around and set fires and loot, and it's really interesting. The people that are richer and wealthier are usually a lot safer, and it's really interesting to me in this book that money is still such a big thing, that if you have enough money you could still buy anything. So it's still very much like very, very late stage capitalism, probably past that point, and it's just so fascinating to see. But my issues I kind of had with this book were the romance between our main character and a side character. At the end of the book, she's in like, I think her very early 20s. I could have done the maths wrong, but I think she is in her early 20s, or like almost there, maybe 18 or 19, and ends up meeting a like 50-something-year-old who is the same age as her dad, and I get what their relationship is meant to represent. I just wasn't really a fan of it. I think it was a little bit unnecessary. But besides that, I overall did really enjoy this book. I thought there were some really interesting aspects about the way that this world looks and operates. There were some really, really horrifying scenes in this. There was one that I remember where they're all kind of walking, trying to get to this new place they're trying to find and move on to, and there is a bushfire or wildfire that's creeping up on them and moving really fast behind them and coming next to them on the highway. And that was just such a terrifying and horrifying scene to read. It was just so realistic and so well done and just so vivid and compelling. This whole book, you just can see everything happening. It is incredible in the best and the worst ways. But this was overall a really solid read, and I will definitely be picking up the sequel. Then the last book I ended up reading was a romantasy. This is a Gothic romantasy. It is Vow of Eternal Night by Lily Crozier. This one actually comes out in March, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I thought this was so fun. It was exactly what I needed after Parable of the Sower, because that is obviously quite a heavy book. This one was just everything to me. So like I said, this is a Gothic romantasy. It's kind of a Beauty and the Beast reimagining or retelling, so there's lots of those elements. But in this we follow Clara, who is the mayor's daughter, and there has been a really bad famine going on in this town since the prince moved back to their area and has been living in this castle up on the hill overlooking them. He made them build a dam, and it has just made a whole big famine everywhere because there is no water coming through, people can't grow crops, all of that stuff. And one night Clara is home with her dad and they're talking and stuff, and suddenly a guest arrives, and it is this prince, and he is actually a vampire, and he has come to say that basically Clara needs to come up and marry him and be his bride because her father has done something and he doesn't want the secret to get out. So in order to keep the secret hidden, Clara is sent up to be the vampire's bride. And now her and the prince end up making a deal and a bargain that if she can cure his curse and free him from being a vampire by the end of the year, she will be free. If she fails, she will be his vampire bride and be turned into a vampire and be with him for all of eternity. And it is just so beautiful. I love this book. It was just so well written. I loved every aspect of it. Like I said, it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling and reimagining. So we've got a magic castle as well that can do things, which I found to be really such a cool element. And I love how it was used in this. And I just loved the way their relationship progressed. This is very much a slow burn, which I absolutely loved. I hate in romanticies where people just kind of kiss and get together like immediately. This one really dragged it out, which I loved. It was just so much fun and the perfect way to end this month. Okay, just to interrupt real quick. So I ended up filming this video yesterday, which was the 28th of February, because I didn't think I was going to finish any more books for the month. But I ended up starting and finishing another book. So I thought I would quickly butt in and talk about it, but I don't really have time to refilm the entire thing. So I'm just going to talk about the book I read, but I ended up starting and finishing Strange Houses. This is by Uketsu. I was originally going to have this on my March TBR, but I really just felt like starting it and giving it a go, and I just flew through it. This is a murder mystery told through floor plans of strange houses, and it's like a mystery that connects it all together. So you can see here what it looks like. It's a really interesting concept, and I just found this to be so enjoyable and unique. This was a book I got as a birthday present from my partner, so I'm definitely going to be picking up the other two books. Strange Pictures is already out. That was the first one that was released and translated, but this is actually the first one that was written, and then Strange Pictures is like the sequel kind of. But I'm going to pick up Strange Pictures, I think, and then also Strange Buildings, which is more of a direct sequel to this one. I'm going to pick that up later in the month when it releases, and then hopefully Strange Maps gets translated sometime in the near future, but that has only just released in Japan, so we'll see how it goes. But I really enjoyed this one. If you do like murder mysteries or mysteries, I think this would be a really great one to pick up. Or if you're like me and not really a fan of mysteries, I think this would also be amazing to pick up because it is very unique and really just a cool concept of how it is done. It was just so interesting, very lighthearted as well. It wasn't super serious, like it was very like a fun and weird kind of story. It's very unrealistic, but it was really just enjoyable and such a cool concept. So I really enjoyed this one. But that means I actually ended up reading 5 books in February, which is a pretty good effort. Now, there were a couple of books that I had started in February that I didn't get around to finishing, so those are going to move on to my March TBR. So we might go through all of the books. I've got quite the ambitious stack that I would like to try and read, so I will start with those ones that I have started and I'm yet to finish. So for a while now, I've been reading Conspiracy Nation. This is a non-fiction book that I've got on my library. I've got a digital copy of it, but I'm kind of thinking of DNFing it. I think I'm gonna try and read another passage, but I'm just not really interested in it at the moment, so I think I might temporarily DNF it, pause it, and return it to the library, and I'll try again in a few months when I am feeling it. It is a very interesting concept. It talks about conspiracy theories in Australia, how they work and all of that stuff, and kind of the people that get involved with them, but I'm just really not interested in it at the moment. It's just not working out with my brain, so I'm going to pause that one. But I've also been listening to an audiobook, which is The Deep by Rivers Solomon. This is a mermaid one. This is the second time I've tried to listen to the audiobook, but I just find it really hard to connect to I just really find it hard to engage with in this format. I'm going to give it another go, but I'm going to focus on it later in the month and see how we go. I think I want to try and listen to it all in one day. It is a 4-hour audiobook, so it could be pretty quick. If I do struggle though, I might end up trying to find a copy myself and read it physically, because I think that might be better. The Trans Rights Readathon is coming up in March, towards the end of March, so I might save it for that and try and read it during that time, since Rivers Solomon is a non-binary author, I believe. So I'm gonna hold on to it and see how we go. Then I have been slowly making my way through Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I've been wanting to read this for ages. I previously got like just over 100 pages into it, but paused for some reason. This can just be a very difficult book to read at times, especially with one of the characters, Joseph. He's meant to have like, I don't know what accent he's meant to have, but it is hella hard to read. So that always stopped me a bit, but I'm making a bit more slower progress. I've only read about 60 pages, but I am really enjoying it. I want to try and get myself to read more classics because I do find them challenging and I do need to use my brain a lot more, and I should be using my brain a lot more. So classics are an easy way for me to do that and to make my brain really work for it. So I really want to read more of this in March and finish it if I can. I think I'm going to read like a few chapters every now and then, because it's not something that at this stage is really making me want to read all of it in one sitting, but I might get to that point. But yeah, I will be continuing this in March. Okay, then this is the rest of the stack of books that I'm hoping to read. I also feel like reading a horror, so we'll see if I end up picking up something else, but I'm just gonna go down this stack and talk about what I'm hoping I can try and get to, but we'll see how we go. It's kind of unlikely that I'll be able to get to all of these. Continuing with the Rainwild Chronicles, I have got book 3, and that is City of Dragons. I am really excited for this one. I really enjoyed the first 2 books, like I said, and I read the the blurb of this one and it sounds really stressful, and I'm really nervous about where it's going to go because we have got someone who has kind of been the antagonist in the first two books but hasn't actually been very much a sort of main POV character. He is now arriving in this third book, so I'm very nervous about the chaos that he is going to cause because I know he's just going to be such a piece of shit, but I'm very excited for this one. This one is also shorter than the other books in this series, so this one is like, I think just under 500 pages. Yeah, it's 425 pages, so I feel like I could get this one done pretty early in the month, but I'm very excited to read more of this series. Then I have got an arc I am planning on reading. This one actually comes out on March 3rd, so I don't think I'll finish it before then, but I would like to read it during the month of March, and that is The Ascension of Souls. This is by Bronte Marie Wesson. I have been really wanting to read her other book, which is a self-published one. I'll have to put the cover up on the screen. It's like something of wyverns, I believe, but that one is a romantasy. I think this one is also got romantic elements in it, but it's more a new fantasy series and stuff. This is the first book, but I don't 100% remember what this is about. I just know there is prophecies and people bound by fate and they have to try and right the world, but I'm very intrigued by it. Penguin sent me a copy of this one, which I'm very excited for and thankful for. It is also signed, which is so cool, so I would really love to read this one, and yeah, I'm intrigued. I think the cover is very cool as well. Then, like I said earlier, I read a book of my 12 books in 12 months, a TBR, and I'm continuing with that TBR still, and I think I'm going to be reading The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. I've been tossing up between what one I want to read because I've got a lot of chunky books on this TBR, and this is one of the smaller ones, but I've been really feeling like something that has got romance in it and some more yearning, which I think this one does, but I wanted something that's still kind of that more, not traditional fantasy, but I wanted something with knights, which is what this one has, and I'm very excited to read this one. This is the Illumicrate edition, I believe. This one is just so beautiful. So we've got the two main characters on the front, and I think you can see here we've got like a church or something, or a cathedral that's all broken, and some sprayed edges as well, and I'm just so excited to read this one. I know there is like a book within a book in this, and we've got witches and knights and all sorts of fun things, so I'm very excited to read this one. I did really like the Jasmine Throne and the Oleander Sword. That is a trilogy I still need to finish, but I do enjoy Tasha Suri's writing, so I'm very excited to get to this one. I think I completely forgot to say, but this is sapphic as well, so I'm very excited for that. The Ascension of Souls is also queer, and we've also got queer relationships and everything in the Rainwild Chronicles books, so I love that. We've got lots of queer books coming up. Then I'm hoping to do a buddy read with one of my friends over on TikTok of The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is a series I've been wanting to read for years now. I was actually going to start them not too long ago. I have the first 4 books in the original editions, but then I saw that Samantha Shannon was republishing them and re-editing them, so I decided to hold off, and then I've just kind of been holding off since. I don't know why, but I'm really excited about these ones. These are the first books that she wrote, so these ones predate the Roots of Chaos books that you can see up the top there. But I'm really intrigued by this one. I know it is kind of more of a dystopian set in a futuristic area of Sion, which I guess is kind of like a London-inspired town and everything. We've got people that are like clairvoyants and stuff. I don't really remember too much else, but I know a lot of people absolutely love these books, and I really do adore Samantha Shannon's writing, so I'm excited to see what these are like. I think we do have queer representation in these as well, but I don't know if it's in the first book or in later books, but I'm excited for this one. Then I've got another thick and chunky book that I'm hoping I'm reading. This is a pre-planned buddy read as well. I just don't remember if I wrote down the right month or not, so we're going to find out. But I've got The Strength of the Few by James Islington on my TBR. This is obviously the sequel to The Will of the Many, which I really enjoyed. I have already read the first 3 chapters of this. I did read them last year when I first got the book, when it released, but then I ended up pausing it because I wasn't in the place to read it. I think I was reading too many long books at the same time. I am probably going to read too many long books at the same time as this now anyways, but I think me and a few friends on TikTok were planning to read this in March, so if that is the case, I will be reading it. If not, I will be holding on to it for later. But those are all of the books that I read in February and all of the books that are on my TBR. I'm really excited but nervous about quite a few of them, but I'm intrigued to continue quite a few of them as well, and there's so many that I've been wanting to read for quite a while now, so I'm excited to get to them. But let me know what your favorite book you read in February was, and the book you're most excited to read in March. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.